As far as the meals that are made during the Christmas season, because of the fact that it is Christmas and that are part of the celebration of the festivities and the celebration of Christmas, then it is not permissible to partake in those meals. First and foremost, أيها الإخوة, let us be clear on what we're speaking about. We're speaking about a festival and a period of celebration that revolves number one around that which is considered Kufr, number two that which has in it Shirk, and number three that which has in it manifest paganism. As far as the affair of the Kufr and the Shirk, then when one celebrates Christmas, he is celebrating the belief that Allah Azza wa Jal was born. Number two, he is celebrating the belief that Allah Azza wa Jal had a son that was born, who is also himself. Number three, he is celebrating the birth of an individual who, it is said, shared and partook in the creation of the heavens and the earth alongside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number four, he is partaking in festivities that in actuality have no connection to ʿīsā ibn Maryam. The whole Christmas period is a period of paganism. For those of you who may not be aware, the vast majority of the practices that take place, in fact all of them that take place during the Christmas period, in actuality are pagan practices, pagan celebrations that were brought into Christianity and accepted by Christians. First and foremost, the 25th of December was not the birth time or the birthday of ʿīsā ibn Maryam. As far as that which is related to scripture, as far as that which is related to what they have recorded with themselves, then Jesus was born closer to harvest time, which some of the Christian scholars, they say the reality was that he was born perhaps around August time, because they don't have anything specific, but he definitely was not born in December. So that is number one. The question then arises, where did the 25th of December come from? The 25th of December, أيها الإخوة, was the period wherein we had a well-known pagan festivity known as Saturnalia, and it was coupled with another festivity that was known as Juvenalia. During these festivities, they coincided with what was known as the Winter Solstice, or the celebration of the birth of the new sun. Pagan belief, and it is a reality if one analyzes the month of December, but they have turned it into a belief, is that when one looks at the days during December into the 20s, you'll find that the days of winter grow shorter and shorter and shorter until the mid-20s, about the 21st, 22nd. Thereon after, from that period on, the days of the year begin to grow longer. And so they grow shorter until about the 23rd, 24th, 25th of December. Then from that period onwards, the day grows longer. And so the pagans from the Roman era and prior to the Roman era, those who were as far back as the Persian Empire and other than that, they used to worship the sun and celebrate the birth of the new sun. This is what they would refer to as the Winter Solstice, or the celebration of the birth of the new sun. When Christianity was being spread in the Roman Empire, they knew that if they were going to declare that Juvenalia and Saturnalia, and these were two evil festivities where you had debauchery and drunkenness, and Juvenalia, they would have relations with children. This was an evil festivity. During this period, there was lawlessness. That for a period of 8 days, there was no law. You could kill a man and you would not be taken to court. And these were periods of extreme debauchery and evil. And so the Roman Christians who were trying to evangelize the pagans, they knew that it was not possible for you to declare that Saturnalia and Juvenalia are now going to be abolished if you become Christian. So they said that instead of abolishing these things and telling them that they can't practice them if they become Christian, that will transfer their celebration from the celebration of Juvenalia and Saturnalia and Winter Solstice into celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. Though those who had knowledge among the Christians knew that Jesus was not born. ʿīsā was not born during that period. And so they held then, or they began to say, that it is not the celebration of the birthday of Jesus, of ʿīsā, but it is the celebration of the fact that he was born, the fact that he was sent to earth, the fact that he was with us. And so his birth has given us life. And so we celebrate his birth, his existence. And so that is number one. This is how December the 25th became the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. That is number one. Number two, when you look at the whole of the Christmas period, it is filled again with paganism. Many of the practices, decorating the trees again were decorated by the pagans, and they were worshipped by the pagans. And this returns back to a god known as Sibyl or Ishtar, that was known as the god of fertility. And they have certain practices that they carry out, like kissing under the mistletoe, which is the mistletoe tree, because its berries are white in color. They would say that it was resemblant, or that it was the tree of fertility, because its berries resembled semen. And so they would kiss under the mistletoe, and they would do much more than just that. And so these practices were brought into Christianity and made a part of Christmas. And there is much more that may be said about the origins of the Christmas practice, Santa Claus and other than that. But the issue here is, when a person celebrates Christmas or partakes in the celebration, you are partaking, number one, in celebrating Allah being born. Wal-iyadhu billah. Number two, celebrating a part of Allah being born, wal-iyadhu billah, his son, they say. Number three, you are partaking in ancient pagan practices and festivities and celebrations. And so this is from the most abhorrent of the practices for the Muslim to even remotely be involved in, to even remotely attach himself to. And so on the basis of this, our scholars have a very strong position concerning anything related to involving oneself in celebration, involving oneself in the practice, involving oneself in the festivity, greetings, and what have you. All of these things, our scholars have a very, very, very strong stance in relation to these affairs. There is a passage that Shaykh bin Uthaymeen, he quotes from Al-Imam Ibn Al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala. And Imam Ibn Al-Qayyim, in his book Aḥkām Ahl Adh-Dhimmah, he discusses that which is related to these types of celebrations, yani Christmas and other festivities of the kuffar. In relation to this, he quotes the statement of Imam Ibn Al-Qayyim. Imam Ibn Al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions, as far as the affair of the tahni'ah, then that is the greeting and the festivity and the salutations, then it is from the sha'air of Kufr. That is, it is from the manifestations of Kufr and of disbelief, and it is haram bittifaq. It is haram by consensus of the scholars. There is no scholar that says, well, if you just say it lightly, then la ba's, or if you just slightly involve yourself, then no problem. It is haram by consensus of the scholars, and that involves, ikhwan, anything related to it, anything that was prepared for it is haram for a person to partake in, to participate in, and even to appear to be accepting. And so, as far as the question is concerned, then this dish that is prepared for the purpose of commemorating Christmas, that is only made in Christmas during the Christmas season, and for the purpose of Christmas, this should not be consumed. It should not be accepted. One should not participate in it. One should not accept these gifts from your neighbors if they are for that reason, and use this as a door opener for da'wah, that with wisdom and with hikmah, that a person would gracefully reject the offer, but explain why. And explain why we don't celebrate Christmas, and why it is against the religion, and why in actuality it is against the religion of all of the prophets and the messengers, including Ḥīsā, that this was not from his deen, and that in the Bible we have a dispraise of many of the pagan practices that are carried out during Christmas. Yeah, and if from those practices is the decoration of the tree, the decoration of the tree, that was a practice, a well-known pagan practice that was brought into Christianity. That this was not from the affairs that were left by Ḥīsā bin Maryum. Rather, this is from the affairs that even in the Bible it is spoken ill of. Even in the Bible it is chastised. Even in the Bible we have a clear clarification of the fact that this is not something that is to be done. And for anybody who wants those verses, then Jeremiah 10:1-5. We have the following verse: hear the word which the Lord speaks of you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, do not learn the way of the Gentiles. The Gentiles are the non-Jews and those who were pagans at that time. Do not be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the Gentiles are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are futile. For one of them cuts a tree from the forest. The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers so that it will not topple. And they are up there. Those trees are upright like the palm tree. And they cannot speak. They must be carried because they cannot go by themselves. And this is a refutation of them believing that there is some benefit in those trees and that one receives blessings or aid from them. Here these verses indicate that they must be carried. They can't go by themselves. Do not be afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, nor can they do any good. That is, these are trees that are worthless and that are not in any way, shape, or form a source of khair or a source of harm or a source of bringing about good. But we have the mention of them decking those trees with gold and silver and glorifying those trees. This is exactly what we have taking place during Christmas. And so even the Bible speaks ill of this manifestation of paganism. And so all of the festivities that take place during this time, we gracefully refrain. We use it as an opportunity and a door and a window for da'wah. We explain why we don't celebrate Christmas as Muslims and why it is involved or why it has in it shirk and why it is impermissible for us to accept, even though we thank you for the good thought and the gesture and what have you, but we cannot accept this because of the fact that it is connected to this shirk and this kufr and this paganism. Wallahu a'lam.